living for the night, playing for the soul. I am Stuart with Daylight Productions and Daylight Vampires. And this is Interview with a Vampire. Today I have the honor of being with Kimi Djabaté, who's actually in Montreal for the Nuit Afrique. It's actually his first time in Quebec, and we're really excited to have him here. So it is a pleasure. Pleasure to meet you. So to start off a little bit, I think we're best off starting off at the beginning. You were a young man, or actually a young child, when you first started off in music. I believe somewhere around, 4 or 5 years old you started playing?
¿A qué edad comenzó a tocar música?
Comecei a tocar foi meu brinquedo, não é? Mais ou menos há 13 anos de idade já
Yeah, he
comecei.
started as a little toddler, like 3 years old. 3 years old he started playing.
Yeah.
So a prodigy.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
And I heard that, after reading a lot about yourself, I saw that there's a lot of things, like you had a troubled childhood as well.
Tenía problemas en su infancia también, como esa dificultad de siempre tocar música, ¿no? Como infante.
Sim, foi muito difícil para mim porque eu nasci como músico, como griot, não é? Mas passei de gostar muito da música e muito cedo tive uma paixão muito grande para a música e depois então quase na minha infância não tive dos que crianças tiveram, não é? Jogar a bola, fazer outras coisas e então passou mais para tocar a música, tocar sempre música.
Yeah, so he grew up in a musical family and a griot family. And when you're a griot, it's a hereditary musical position, so it's passed down from parent to child. So he was obligated to play music from a very young age, and it also meant that he didn't get to do things that other kids got to do. He didn't watch TV, he didn't go out to play soccer with the other kids. It was all music all the time, and so it was really like being a child prodigy. He had to devote himself to music, and sometimes that was hard for him. He wanted to just have a normal childhood, but luckily his love for music has always stayed the same. So he never lost the love for music.
As a musician myself, I find that, and this is where I always say you play from the soul. You play from what you know. You play from your feelings. You feel the music inside of you. And what I found after listening to a lot of the different albums and the different music is I felt that. I felt the music go through me. For someone who never listened to your music before, I found myself sitting in my basement, like for the past few days, just listening and having the music transcend into me. And you could feel that. You could feel that you're singing from the heart.
Pois eu estava escutando muito a sua música durante a preparação para essa entrevista. Eu pude ver que a música vem de sua alma, de seu coração. Quando escuta a sua música, ele tem essa sensação de a música vem de
Dentro
parte dentro.
Yeah. Obrigado por sentir isso também, porque na verdade eu pensava que há pessoas que já me falaram isso, mas na verdade é isso mesmo, que eu faço música para isso mesmo, porque é uma coisa que eu desde pequenino, uma coisa que a minha experiência como músico, como griot, passado muitas coisas e muitas coisas boas, como muitas coisas também que não era muito agradável, não é? Então, a única forma que eu tenho para tirar aquilo que eu tenho dentro de mim, para pôr fora, é com a música. Porque sou pessoa que não sou pessoa que chora, mas chora por dentro. As minhas músicas é mais nesse caminho que eu estou seguindo. E forma também a pessoa, o mundo saber o que eu tenho dentro.
So he's really happy to hear that because, that is what motivates him to do the music. It is an expression of the life that he's led, both the good things and the bad things. Some people cry when they're sad, but for him, he expresses it through his music. And so that's what it is. So he's happy to hear that you feel that when you listen to his music, because it is something that he uses to express the emotions of his life.
Well, I find that when I was researching a bit about the Mandinka itself, the culture, everything that is behind, it's music, it's a language, it's a culture, it's everything engulfed. And the way that you look towards women and the health of people and that children, the goodness of children, and it's a very positive. And I think in a world that we live in today, I think that's what we're missing, is the positive outlook on life, the positive vibe, looking at things that are not so great, but saying, you know what? We can make it positive. We can look at it and light a little bit different. That we have to embrace what we have. The little bit we have to embrace it. And you've come across that way.
Yeah, en su música, las temas de sus canciones
Sí.
siempre tienen un mensaje muy positivo, ¿no?
Sí.
Se siempre está buscando a mejorar la
Sí,
sociedad.
la sociedad, sí.
De ver con mujeres o
Sí.
con hijos,
Sí.
de niños, ¿no? De cómo podemos mejorar las cosas y ver un futuro positivo.
Sí.
Él ha notado eso en su música y es una cosa que faltamos muito.
Porque es na verdade, esse também é objetivo também, eu também querer ter a vontade de cantar, e foi também esse, porque eu quando comecei, eu sempre queria ser músico, nunca queria ser cantor, nunca. Eu, como sou tão tímido, sou tão fácil e gostaria sempre de ser músico, balafonista,
sim.
tocar, mas não é cantar.
Sim,
Mas e depois de tantas coisas que eu vi, com a minha experiência, com coisas que eu vi, nasci num país ainda que precisa muito para fazer, não é? Onde crianças não têm direitos, mulheres não têm direitos, o ser humano não tem direito como devia ter, não é? A sociedade ainda precisa de muita coisa. Há muita pouca gente que fala disto. A maioria da gente fala de outra coisa. E que eu acho, quando a gente digo, estamos felizes porque somos independentes, tem motivo para estar independente, não é? Há alguma coisa que aconteceu para dizermos, somos independentes. Mas somos independentes, mas não sabemos ser independentes. Isso é um problema. Ou não sabemos gerir propriamente a nossa sociedade. Para mim, isso é um problema. Então, isso que faz dar-me vontade, hoje estou a cantar para o mundo da Guiné-Bissau ou de África, ou o mundo em geral, e saber qual é a minha opinião daquilo que passa no meu país.
So when he started doing music, he always considered himself a musician and not a singer. You know, he was always very focused on the musical side of things. But as he grew, he started to notice that people weren't really singing about the things that he felt needed to be sung about. So he started to write songs that reflected the topics that he thought should be discussed more. So if you go to Guinea-Bissau, for example, you find that a lot of people are writing songs about the struggle for independence. So there are, political songs and songs about, life in Guinea-Bissau, but they weren't talking about what it really means to be independent. Okay, we've achieved our independence as a country from Portugal, but what does it mean to be an independent society? What are the rights of women? What are the rights of children? What are the human rights? And he really wanted to address those topics in his music, and so he started to write and sing about those subjects because he felt like they weren't really being addressed enough in his own community.
To me, that's incredible. Now, your first album was what, 2007?
O primeiro disco foi em que ano?
Foi em 2005.
2005.
2005.
Yeah.
And so you've continued from that point. I listened to the first album, then I went to Dende, and I listened to that, and then there was a lot of different music between that. How have you found you've progressed in the sense
¿Cómo ha
of music?
progresado su música durante los años? ¿Progresado o cambiado? O ¿qué es su proceso como artista?
Sim, foi um processo também de criatividade, não é? E porque eu sei que eu não tenho outro caminho que eu sei fazer se não é música. Na verdade, eu sou a música, para mim a música para eu estar nesse mundo é fazer música. Se não há música, para mim, não faz sentido para eu estar aqui. Eu acho que não faz muito falta.
Sim.
Então, isso também ajudou-me muito para ser mais criativo e também e tentar modernizar um bocadinho a minha música para que pode chegar a mais pessoas. Para mensagens pode ter mais caminho para chegar a mais pessoas. Porque se não haver criatividade, a minha música, claro, não chega para mais pessoas que eu queria para chegar. Porque a mensagem era mesmo, o propósito era para chegar para pessoas.
So when, he's always been a musician, he always will be a musician. He can't imagine life not being a musician. And that has, in some ways, because he's so devoted to it, it's allowed him to make his changes over time to his music. So he started with a much more traditional focus because that was the world he grew out of, but he wanted to incorporate elements that would help his music reach a wider audience. So through the musical elements that he added over the years, the topics that he discussed in his music, a lot of it was about trying to expand his audience and incorporate new influences and reach audiences through collaborations and things like that. So it's his lifelong process to grow his music and his audience.
Well, when you talk about the collaborations now we go to Madonna.
Yeah.
Is working alongside Madonna. And it's interesting because when you look at, in general, music from different parts of the world, like I look at when Montreal, many years ago at the Jazz Fest, Johnny Clegg and Savuka played here.
Oh my God.
And I remember it was huge. They played an outdoor show, there was about 200,000 people there.
Yeah.
And it was the greatest thing because no one had really had that feel yet. And we're talking, this is probably in the 80s when this happened. And it was massive. It really hit it. And then all of a sudden you see Peter Gabriel coming out and he's incorporating. And more musicians are incorporating music from Africa, from different parts of the world into their own music.
Yeah.
And just to move on with that a bit, I'm a rock and roll guy.
Yeah.
I'm a rock and roll guy. But you see with rock and roll the same thing. There is a band called The Who, which is based out of Mongolia.
Oh yeah.
And they don't speak any English.
Yeah.
And I went to see them in concert, and it's all in Mongolian.
Yeah.
I had no idea what they were saying, and the crowd was going crazy.
Yeah.
But they actually brought in outside people to sing it half in Mongolian, half in English.
Okay.
So you're seeing a lot of this transition and everything.
Yeah.
Now, that's a big thing. Let's go back to Madonna.
Yeah.
How did you get together with Madonna to do?
Yeah, como foi a conexão com Madonna?
Madonna. Porque eu já tinha feito um concerto privado para um casal francês que vive em Lisboa. E quando Madonna foi para Lisboa para viver, eles eram amigos de Madonna. E então Madonna foi convidada para vir jantar na casa deles. Então Madonna põe proposta de música, para ter a música ao vivo. Então essa francesa disse, ok, eu vou te mandar o link dos artistas que nós gostamos. E tu vais escolher quem tu gostasse e isso podemos convidar para vir jantar na nossa casa. Mas eu, entretanto, antes do francês mandar o link para ela já ouviu na nossa versão primeira de Karam.
Sim, onde?
Ela estava na Inglaterra uma vez quando lancei o Canal Malu com aquela editora.
Sim.
E então saiu numa revista. Então ela foi pesquisar e sobre mim ouvir gostou, salvou e ouvia isso de vez em quando, mas ela nunca pensava que ia encontrar a mim, nenhum lado. Então, quando mandaram links para ela disse, mas esta aqui vive aqui, era eu, esta aqui vive em Portugal, a francesa disse sim, esse está bom, está aprovado, agora vou ouvir outros cantores também. Então ela foi ouvir Dini Santiago, outros. Depois a Francesca me falou, quando ligou-me, disse-me, olha, parabéns, sabes que eu vou te convidar para vir cá tocar, mas eu vou te pagar cachê, mas temos uma convidada especial. Ela já conhece o teu trabalho, Kimi.
Wow.
Sabes? Eu, Qui? E ela, depois ela diz-me, Madonna. Eu, tá bem, ela conhece o meu trabalho. Sim.
All right.
Pronto. Então
All
foi
right.
assim.
So this is a long story, but so Kimi had done a concert at a private wedding in Lisbon. You know, he's living
Yeah,
in Lisbon.
I actually understood part of it.
Okay, good. So he played a concert at a private wedding for a French couple. And the French couple were friends with Madonna. So they had Madonna over to their house. Madonna was living in Lisbon for a while. And she's always been really interested in African music. It's always been a passion of hers. I don't think a lot of people realize this about Madonna. She's a very open-minded artist. She's known for pop music, but she incorporates all kinds of interesting stuff in her sound. And so they were playing her different clips of musicians who were based in Lisbon, African musicians. And unbeknownst to the French couple, Madonna had actually heard one of Kimi's songs in London.
Oh, wow.
And she always really loved this song. So she knew his work from Karam, from this album that I released on my label many years ago. So she was like, oh yes, I know this one. I know this guy. Oh, he's really great. And so the French couple called Kimi and said, hey, and a couple of other Lisbon-based artists said, we've got a special event we'd like you to do. We got a special guest who's going to be there, and it turned out to be Madonna. And they made the connection, and they've been friends ever since. And Madonna has brought Kimi to many of her private events, flown him to different parts of the world to do events and her birthday party and things like that.
Wow.
And then they had the opportunity to record a song together for her last album.
That's the X album, or the 10
Right,
or whatever
exactly.
it might be. Because on that album, what you see is a lot of different artists which are listed on there.
Yeah.
Like when I listened to that album itself, I saw there was a lot of different artists, and you could see now what you're telling me is exactly along those lines. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes complete sense. Why? How everything. So now I understand the whole story where this album came from. Which,
Yeah, and I remember when Kimi told me, he was like, oh, you'll never believe who I've been working with. I was like, are you kidding me? What? But it's great. It's a great story.
Depois quando ela chegou no jantar, eu estava com amigos a fumar cigarros. Depois, entretanto, amigos foram embora. Ela chegou, eu vi um grupo a chegar com esse boné assim. Ela chegou e disse-me, como que tu chamas? Eu, Kimi. Ela, nice to meet you. Ela ia embora, eu disse, hey, então. Ela olhou para mim, eu disse, you. What do you know? Your name? Ela disse, I'm Madonna. Eu, okay, very nice.
He didn't recognize her at first. He was hanging out with some friends. They were smoking cigarettes, and she came over and she's like, what's your name? I was like, I'm Kimi. What's your name? He didn't know who it was at first. I'm Madonna.
Depois jantar era buffet.
They had a buffet at this
E
event.
eu peguei o prato, estava sentado no outro lado.
I got a plate and I was sitting around.
Ela saiu de lá, veio ter comigo.
Yeah, she came over and sat next to me.
Chegou perto de mim e disse assim, tu me perguntaste o nome.
You asked me my name.
Eu disse, mas qual é o problema te perguntar o nome?
What's wrong with that? He said.
E ela disse, mas tu não me conheces. Eu disse, mas tu me conheces a mim também.
She says, everybody knows me. And he says, and Kimi says, well, everybody knows me too.
that I like. Well, she knew him before he knew her. So that tells the story because she knew his music first.
Depois chegou a Sara, que é manager dela.
So the manager came. Yeah.
E ela disse a Sara, sabes que esse rapaz, esse aqui, tipo brincadeira. E disse-me assim, disse a Sara, sabes que ele perguntou-me o nome.
Yeah, this guy's he's a joker. He asked me my name.
Eu disse a Sara, olha, Se ela é estrela, eu sou mais estrela do que ela.
She may be a star, but I'm a bigger star than she is.
But that's you know what? It's funny because you talk about
Então foi
music.
uma brincadeira assim.
So they've always been making fun with each
I
other.
love it.
ever
E
since then.
então depois ela nunca mais ficou longe de mim, estava sempre forçadamente, eu não falava inglês, eu disse, olha, eu não falo inglês.
So he doesn't speak English and she doesn't speak Portuguese.
Mas ela disse, eu vou tentar falar contigo em espanhol, tu compreende francês um bocadinho? Eu disse sim.
Spanish, French, to try different languages.
Então ela está sempre depois a falar comigo algumas coisas em francês, em espanhol, quando não entendia vai variando sempre as línguas e vai tentar buscar o dicionário em português. E a noite toda foi assim, depois eu estava lá muita gente para tocar, de Santiago, estava Lura, muitas cantoras. Então eu toquei último, porque estava todo mundo tocar.
At this event, all of these musicians were there playing, all these very famous, Afro-Portuguese musicians.
Então estava todo mundo a tocar com tipo banda.
Yeah, everybody was playing with their bands.
Eu não
He just
queria.
had himself, he just was solo,
Eu não queria tocar com a banda, eu queria tocar sozinho, não queria microfone, não queria ligar a
He didn't want
guitarra,
a microphone, he didn't want anything, he wanted it to be simple and basic.
porque era a casa,
Because it was a home, it was a house.
não valia a pena.
Yeah.
Pronto, então chegou a minha vez, ela foi buscar a mim. Eu estava a fumar cigarro outra vez com amigos. Ela chegou, pega a minha camisa e
She
disse:
came after and she came up to talk to him.
diz-me agora, tu vai tocar.
She said, now it's your turn.
Eu toquei, não sabia, não tinha lembrado que ela gostava já conhecia o Ná.
And he didn't know that she already knew his music.
E quando eu acabar para tocar, ela ainda, quando eu comecei a tocar, ela saiu do lugar e veio ter comigo, sentou-se à frente de
After he
mim
was done playing, she came up to him,
e
sat next to him.
começou a fazer intervenção nas minhas músicas
She was asking him questions about his traditions, about his music.
e depois quando eu disse que ok, já é a última, e ela disse-me que falta uma música, eu disse qual? Depois ela disse-me,
He said, I'm going to end my set now. She said, wait, you need to do one more song.
eu disse qual? Eu disse,
Which
Ná.
one? Nah, you have to do this song. Nah, that she knew, yeah.
That you knew.
Yeah. A partir dali, nossa amizade começou.
So now they've been friends ever since.
Now, here's the question: did you play it on guitar or the balafon?
Tocaste em guitarra ou
Guitarra.
Guitarra. Now, the balafon.
The balafon, yeah.
Yeah.
Balafon.
The balafon is yours 17 or 21?
Mas eu toquei também balafone, toquei duas coisas.
Não, sim, sua balafon é 17 ou 21 teclados?
21.
21?
21.
And what type of tuning do you use? Because I know it's
Que tipo
pentatonic
de
or
afinação? Pentatonic, piano, que tipo?
Piano, do, re, mi, fa. Do, re, mi, fa. Sim. Do, re, mi, fa.
Chromatic
Sim,
tuning,
sim. Sim.
because I've been reading about it and it's like, so I was just wondering about that. Now, the reason why you're here in Montreal is because of Maritza, who
Yes.
you put out the song with, the French song, which to me was incredible to see that, a French song and everything. So tell me about that, how that relationship grew
Yeah, so
with Maritza.
estás en Montreal porque esa colaboración con Maritza,
Com Marisa.
que canta en francés.
Sim.
¿Cómo fue que conociste a Maritza y esa conexión?
A Marisa estava em Lisboa de férias.
So Maritza came to Lisbon on vacation.
Então, estava com pessoas que me conheciam a mim como músico.
So she was hanging out with people who also knew Kimi.
E como ela também era música também,
So since she was also a musician, they made a connection.
então pessoas dizem, eu vou ter que apresentar o Kimi Djabaté porque acho que tu vai gostar muito.
So they were introduced to Kimi, you're gonna like him, he's great.
E então dia eu estava na rua a passar
So I was just walking along the street one day,
e ela estava com dessa pessoa
and she was with our
que
mutual friends.
tinha lhe dito que ia apresentar a mim a
Said,
ela.
oh, you have to meet my friend Kimi, you
Yeah.
have to meet Maritza. So they just
Então-
met in the street
Yeah.
like that, randomly.
Então, e apresentou-me Marisa e a partir dali eu depois convidei Marisa para vir para minha casa
So he invited Maritza to come to over to his
It was,
house.
yeah.
Yeah, fizemos lá um jam
They
session.
did a jam session at his house,
Na altura estava a gravar o meu terceiro álbum
and so she asked him to record on her album as well. Yeah.
e então convidei ele para ir fazer algumas cores no disco.
Yeah, yeah. So that's how it started, and that's how it ended up.
It's funny, I don't believe in coincidences.
Yeah.
I believe in fate. You just told me two stories with Maritza and with Madonna. Two M's. But,
Good point.
but things happen for a reason. Things always happen because of that. And that's where I'm a firm believer, is that people meet people, people learn about people, because of things bring people together. It was meant to be. It's a fate that we all go through. And to me, this is what I find is wonderful about music. I only started playing music at 50 years old, and I'm 63.
Okay.
So, but my
Comenzó
whole
a tocar música cuando tenía 50 años.
Quem?
Yeah, él.
Ah, ok.
50 años comenzó a tocar.
Ah, comenzó a
y agora
tocar.
es 63.
Ah, ok. Ela tem 63.
63.
Ah, não parece. Uau!
Hard
yeah,
to believe.
I know it's.
Yeah.
But I listened to music my whole life. When I was in high school, I played clarinet for 1 year,
Okay.
and I went to Denmark with it because I was in the school band, and but I stopped,
Yeah.
and I never continued playing. And when I hit 50, when my kids were old enough, when I didn't have to worry about bothering anybody in my house, my wife was okay. I started playing music. I got into bands. Now I'm involved in 4 bands.
Oh, nice.
I play all the time.
Oh,
It's
fantastic.
between all old style rock and roll and country. But once again, music is here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is where music is.
Absolutely.
It's a love. I always say music is a heartbeat. The heartbeat's like this.
Es una toque de corazón.
Sí.
Música.
Tá.
And because it goes up and down, that's how life goes.
Como la vida, ¿no?
Yeah.
You know?
Me too.
Yeah, he feels the same way.
I always
Yeah.
say when you don't have passion, you live a life like this.
Yeah,
And when you
yeah,
live a life like this, that's no life.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You understand? It was my honor
Yeah.
and my pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Prazer.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. And
thank
good
you.
luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.